Good evening and welcome to the San Bruno City Council meeting of June 13, 2017. I'd like to thank the Garden Club for the flowers they always provide for our meetings. Roll call, please, Vicki.
Councilmember Marty Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Rico Medina.
Here.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here. Howard Hoyer, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any special announcements this evening. We do have a presentation. We're going to receive some information and demonstration on the reporting application program.
Do I only have 3 minutes? Yeah. To be sure. Okay, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, San Bruno Responds is our new and improved, well, very improved, and very, very user-friendly online reporting service. It provides an easy method of submitting requests or reporting issues or concerns such as illegal dumping, graffiti, parks, or playground concerns. And the request can be submitted via our official city website or through our brand new mobile application. Once a request or issue is submitted, you can actually receive updates from city staff as they review, address, and resolve the issue or request. But you have to sign up for an account in order to receive these updates and notifications. So now we will have a live demonstration, and I repeat, live demonstration of the mobile version of San Bruno Responds. So any technical glitches, we really can't do anything about. We're just computer guys. So bear with us. We'll try to work through it. So the free mobile application can be downloaded from Google Play or the Apple Store, as you see here. For our demo, we've already downloaded and installed the application. Here you see our home screen, which has 3 main actions, or we call them 3 widgets. You can submit a request, you can view recent requests, or you can link back to the city's official website. The bottom widget you'll see, and it depends on your screen size. If your screen is smaller, you may not see those bottom widgets. You may have to click the a button on the upper left. But you can return to home. You can view nearby requests. You can submit a request by clicking the plus sign. You can view notifications or updates to your requests, or you can access your profile. The last 2, you must have created an account to use those 2 actions. So submitting a request is pretty simple. Clicking Submit a Request takes you to our request types. At the moment, we have 9 different request types and another 15 in the hopper, which should be available within about 2 weeks. If we choose, say, illegal dumping, the map will open. That pulsing blue dot is your current location. You must be sure to have your location services turned on your device. The orange pin would be the location of the request or the issue. You can enter an address manually if you know it in the address window in the upper left, or you can use you can move the mouse or move the map, to a location. Note that the orange pin does not move. And it's always easier to zoom in on the map. You'll get greater detail that way, and you can zoom in on a specific location or address. So again, the orange pin's resting position will determine the request or issue location. And the chosen address will automatically appear in the address window. So for our example, we use the San Bruno City Park. Now, you may add, I forgot to say, if you are using an Android device, some of the features, some of the commands might be slightly different. We noticed that by playing around with the application on different devices. So once you have the correct location, click Next in the upper right-hand corner. And again, if you have an Android device, it won't say Next, it'll be a check mark. Now you may add an optional photo and a mandatory or required description. We will put in test for the description for our demo. So similar to our website, we have additional information. We try to provide an alternate method or two to report issues or concerns to the city. So Paul will slowly scroll through the different information that we provide. Okay, next, you have the option to submit the request publicly or private. If it's toggled on, green, which is our default, the issue will be visible to everyone and San Bruno staff. If you toggle that off, that request will be visible only to you and San Bruno staff. So this is the task. We'll make it private. Next, submit request. Now you can log in. You can log in using a Facebook account. You can complete the username, email, and password fields to create a new account. You can sign in using your existing account if you've created one, or you can skip logging in and submit the request anonymously. If you skip, you will not receive the status notifications. So we will skip logging in for this demo. And you will receive your confirmation notice, and you are done. Very simple to submit a request. Okay, our second widget, the View Recent Requests. In our default view, I'm sorry, Paul, I'm moving a little bit fast. In default view, the requests will be sorted by when they were submitted. If you tap a request, it allows you to view the status and the progress made towards completing or resolving that request. We're logging into one request for a sidewalk issue. And you can see towards the middle of the screen, you'll have submitted, received, in progress, or completed. In Map View, which is our second icon on the screen, you have a graphical view of the request submitted to the city. Again, you'll have to zoom in slightly to see all the different pins we have there. Each color pin on the map represents a different stage in the request life cycle. Red or orange would be submitted. Yellow is received by city staff. One thing that we can do on this app, the staff has the ability to group requests. One example would be a resident posted maybe 9 potholes in one day in basically the same area. So we received and grouped these requests into one request internally. So now we respond to one request, thus we decrease staff resources to address that issue. It's a nice feature that we have here. Next, you'll have a yellow pin, and that's received by staff. Blue, in progress. And the different request types that we have may have a different resolution or time frame to complete. An example would be illegal dumping, with an estimated 2 days to resolve, or a tree-related issue might be 21 days. So each request has a different time span or completion date that we try our best to resolve much sooner than that, but that's a general timeline, and things are adjusted as we go along. And finally, our green pin, that's a completed request. And in order to see a completed request, you have to turn on Show Completed Request in the Filters menu, which I'll show you in just a second. So the third icon, which is the photos, it will show you all photos taken with different requests. If you tap on one of the one of the photos, it will open up that associated request. And that really helps staff in identifying exactly what the issue or concern might be. So last, tapping on the filters, the word filters in the upper right, it allows you to refine your search results. And again, I mentioned you can refine it by open or closed request, the request type, request date range, or you can view only your requests. Again, if you have an account and you've created a few requests, you can see only your requests. So it's as simple as that. And behind the scenes, or the back end, the reporting tools that we have now with this new improved service or application, it allows improved tracking of the city maintenance efforts and provides much better visibility into the areas of the city that might require, additional focus. So it's, again, very simple to use. We've gotten quite a bit of activity on it so far since our first request came in May 24th, and now we have 178 requests that the city is actively working on, or quite a few have been completed. So that concludes our live, very short demo, and we'll be happy to take any questions if you have them.
Good. Very nice, Eric. Any questions for Eric?
Through
Marty?
the chair.
I think it's great. I'd like to thank the staff for everything and the council for getting this going. Are there limits on the number of postings you could put on the app?
Are you referring to the number of pins?
20 a day, 3 a day, 5 a day, 20 a week? Is there any limit that a person could go out there and, just...
We've seen from past experience there is no limit, but there is a limit on number of pins that can show on the map for a certain time period. Again, I don't know if limiting would be good for us because we want to see what's out there, as you know. So, the number that we have per day is not a factor. We are like any other city. We monitor, and we want to be sure that's not being abused.
Right. And for the public, if of course, when it first started and there was a lot of postings, and it takes the time for staff to address all of them. So there was a couple little bumps along the way, but I think things are moving along.
Yeah, the staff, they were all troopers. There were a few bumps. We were getting used to the application, just getting all the flow right, the workflow. And sometimes requests come in that are miscategorized. We're developing a procedure or process to make sure it gets to the right person, called a handoff. So again, staff was really, really great troopers. They're excited about it. And it's been fun, it's been challenging, but we know it's going to be such a great service to the city.
Irene?
Thank you. Thank you too, Eric. It is exciting. I have a couple of questions. One, does it show, and if it does, I didn't see it, does it show when you submit something what the optimum time is to have it resolved? Like you said, something was 2 days and something else was 21 days. So if you submit that kind of problem, does it say there, this can take up to 21 days to resolve?
Great question. At this time, it does not. There's a lot of description fields where we're going to be adding different information. And we're also kind of gauging how long an actual task will take. But that is something that's a priority to make sure the public is aware, or the citizens are aware, how long a request or concern or request should take.
Okay, so eventually you're saying that people will be able to see how long that potentially could take to resolve something.
That's correct.
Okay, and then oh shoot, okay. I forgot what the other thing was. Oh, the other, also I'd like to remind people, and I've noticed since the weather's getting better, there's a lot more garage sales out there. And I'd like to remind people, and I know Eric sometime in the near future is going to do another demo, that we have the ability, people have the ability to put their garage sales on our website, and you and citizens can look on our website to find out where there are garage sales. And it shows the map, it shows the address, people can put information in there. So what we're trying to do is keep those signs down that cause some blight around where we are, or people that leave them up for 2 weeks and they get really messy. So, I know, the other thing was sometimes people post things that they think are illegal and they are not illegal. Do we have a filtering mechanism to let people know that, yes, you may not like this, but it is not illegal to do, that kind of thing?
Yeah, each request that comes in is actually handled by a staff person. There's no automated procedure for that. So it's evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, and then the person submitting it, how do they know that that what they submitted was not legal? I mean, was not illegal to do?
That's one thing I mentioned in the demonstration. It's best to sign up for an account so you can receive notifications, because every step in the resolution process, the city staff member will write a note. And each time they write a note or comment, that notification goes to the individual who made the submission.
Okay, so to
Right.
reiterate, that is a good thing.
Yes.
So just because we personally may not like something, it doesn't mean it's illegal to do it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Ken?
so, just to clarify, so, once the claim is taken care of, cleared, it gets taken off of the site?
It will be closed, and from your default view, when you view recent requests, you won't see it unless you go to filters and toggle that on where the closed. You toggle that back on, and then you can see closed accounts, closed requests. But the request will not be deleted.
Okay. My question for, because I did it for graffiti, and do we still have the graffiti hotline? And is there a redundancy there, or is that just get forwarded from the app to the graffiti?
Paul, can you go to the
same place?
graffiti request type?
Because in the past, I have the graffiti hotline on my phone and just call up and give the address and the recording.
Yeah, I believe the phone number is still there. We're trying to navigate. Here we are. Their phone number is still there.
Yeah. Okay. So there is some redundancy there. So
Right.
it'll get caught. Okay.
Right. We try our best to, again, provide as many methods to contact the city as possible, make it easier for everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. City Manager, you had something?
Yes, I wanted to respond to or elaborate on a couple of comments that council members made in just a few moments ago. Councilmember O'Connell indicated that we're encouraging people to use our online garage sale advertising method, and I would like both the council and the community to know that our upcoming issue of the Focus newsletter will include a little article about exactly that topic, and we'll give specific instructions about how to use our city website to post a garage sale notice as an opportunity for people to do exactly as the council member indicated, to avoid posting handmade signs around town. We hope that this tool will be an opportunity for people to both get better advertising of their garage sale and also avoid what can potentially become litter. And then secondly, on the couple of council member comments about volume of reports that are being entered into Acela and to the reporting app and in other means of delivering complaints or comments to the city. Mr. Jackson indicated that we do have an interest to make sure that we know what citizens are concerned about. The high volume that we're currently experiencing and that we may continue to experience, at least for a little bit of time with this wonderful new tool, does represent the possibility of a less timely response, given that we still have a capacity for response that even though we have a better tool now to receive complaints at the front end, dealing with them doesn't, we don't magically have a lot of different resources to be able to respond, and we are currently receiving a very high volume of reports. So we will be endeavoring over the next period of time to make sure that our entry into the notes, the responses, identifies that issue as well if it is relevant to any particular report that a normal time frame might need to be extended.
Okay, great. Rico?
I'll make it real quick. Mr. Jackson, just for clarification, when the item is closed and if they have if they're signed up, they will receive a notification that the item has been resolved?
They will receive a notification that it's been closed. Correct.
And then joining the rest of the council and the mayor, thank you for you and Paul and everybody's effort and staffs for getting this and working out the kinks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, very nice job, Eric, for you and staff. Great, thank you. Our next item is review of the agenda. If there's no objection, I'd like to move item 11, which is the report of our Citizens Crime Prevention Committee, to right after number 8, which are public hearings. Okay. Item number 6 is approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting of May 9th and 23rd, and special council meetings of February 15th, 28th, March 14th, May 31st, 2017. Any errors, corrections, or omissions? Seeing none, they'll be approved as submitted. Item number 7 is our consent calendar. All items are considered routine or implement an earlier council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested. Anything on consent?
Second.
Motion is second to approve the consent calendar. On the question? All in favor?
Aye. Through the
Great.
chair, just for being noted on the warrant register, there are 2 items. Myers-Nave Professional Law Service, those I'm not approving after reviewing them.
Okay. Item number 8, we have a public hearing this evening. We're going to hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution amending the master fee schedule for municipal services for 2017-18.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, in the proposed 2017-18 budget, departmental revenues are projected to total $5.5 million. This is about 11% of the total revenues that the general fund is expecting in the next fiscal year. These departmental revenues, in large measure, are outlined in the city's master fee schedule. The rates for these particular services and generating these revenues are part of the master fee schedule, and the public hearing is the annual review and update of the master fee schedule. The schedule ensures that fee levels are appropriate to cover costs and make market comparisons as part of our consideration in adjusting these fees. The process that we follow each year is departments are asked to review the current fees for their particular departments and submit recommendations to the finance department for adjustments in the new fiscal year. The largest number of adjustments in the schedule for this year really relate to community development, and in particular building fees. There are adjustments for building permit, electrical permit, mechanical permit, and plumbing permit fees that together, like I said, make up a majority of the adjustments. In the fire department, there is also changes to the plan check fee, and again, this is somewhat related and coordinated with the adjustments to the building permit fees. In community services, there are adjustments for, minor adjustments for a fax fee, and also in Parks and Recreation, there's several adjustments to special events fees, the inclusion of new events. There's several small adjustments to athletic field fees. Finally, in the police department, there are just really one change in a permit fee related to fingerprinting, and there are some wording changes making our fee consistent with the DOJ fees that are also applied. In total, all of the adjustments, if activity in 2017-18 mirrored what occurred in 16-17, there would be approximately $230,000 additional revenue generated by the master fee schedule for departmental fees. This represents about a 2% overall adjustment in the departmental fees. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions that the City Council has.
Any questions of staff at this time? Ken?
Through the chair, Jim, can you elaborate on the increase on building fees? Why, I mean, because what I want to say is, in the past, we've had a cost recovery study, and we've had, explanations on why certain things have been increased. And I'll let you answer and then I'll finish my comment.
I'm somewhat shocked, actually. My memory is failing rapidly here. It has been over 12 years since the cost allocation plan was done and the cost plan, and so it's really a long period of time. Any adjustments that have occurred since then have been really related to individual fees for market adjustment. This is not based on a cost recovery plan. This adjustment is based on a survey of other San Mateo County cities, looking at their fees, and a recognition actually that San Bruno's fees have lagged significantly behind in cost recovery. If you look at the total departmental expenditure for building inspection and the fee recovery, there is a gap. Looking at the survey, looking at our close nearby jurisdictions, the department felt that this was an adjustment that made a substantial step in eliminating that gap, and this is what they are recommending, but it is based on a market survey.
Not being privy to this gap, I really can't comment on that. I'm just going to go on record and say that this form of charging businesses, charging property owners, charging for development, in my opinion, is totally wrong. What we're doing is that we're increasing a cost, and we're not, and unless we're behind in paying for the service, it's in my opinion that all we're doing is we're in effect gouging a customer based on a value of a project. And we know that our construction costs are some of the highest in the country, and we're getting, and our customers are getting charged for that. You cannot tell me that a cost of a permit for a X type of addition or a type of remodel is going to mean that much more inspection time or staff time. So I granted, if we're behind, if we're less than other jurisdictions in the county, that's fine, but I don't think that's really a reason to increase it. I've been on record and I've talked to staff about cost recovery on types of applications, that actually does take considerable staff time as far as review and for use permits, planning applications and things. Because yes, there are other cities in this region that are outrageously high, but to base a permit cost on a cost of on a value of a project and then in an increasing scale is, to me, is just wrong, and it's just gotten out of hand. So I just wanted to know why we're going up in some cases 60% in our value in our permit fees.
I think in part, in answering the question about cost recovery, in the 17-18 proposed budget, the total cost for the building inspection division is projected at $1.9 million total costs. The recovery through fees, including the proposed adjustment, will bring us to about $1.5 million in recovery. So there remains a multi-$100,000 gap between the total expense and the revenue that the division is generating.
I'm just going to say my last comment is that the customer pays pays a lot. We pay for plan check fees as a 75% of what these building permit fees are going to be. And so the in-house review of projects is paid for. Now we've got an increased permit cost, which is, in my opinion, strictly just inspectors. And it's high.
Any other questions for staff? Marty?
I'm looking at the appendix for the water rate capacity and sewer rate capacity charges. Those have not been increased for a number of years. That's just wrong in my opinion. If we're going to constantly have our residents pay more for water and sewer, then it's only right that when somebody ties into our system, the residents are investing into their system, and the fees for water and sewer have remained the same for at least, I would guess, 10 years, if not longer. They need to go up. It's only fair. If the residents are paying it, then so should anybody else that's tying into our new system. I wanted to point out, maybe this is just a little typo error on page 55 for an illegal connection. It says $500 per occurrence, and then on page 57 it says $750 for illegal connection. So it's $750, right? It's increasing it to $750. So just so it's consistent. Go ahead.
No, that is an inconsistency that was pointed out to me today, and when we did the review, I did hear from the department to adjust the water connection, but not the wastewater, but I think it would be appropriate to do that. So if you're approving the master fee schedule, I would recommend that on page 55, as you indicated, that the illegal connection for wastewater be adjusted to $750 to the same as the water one. And if I could just mention, and the appendix is, at least in my view, not part of the master fee schedule. It is just a appendix that is intended to reflect other fees or parking fines or other approvals. And so as far as the appendix is concerned, I actually updated it with what the council approved on water and wastewater rates. And for instance, the cable rates are what's in place right now since the council is not acted. On the capacity charge, the council has, at the time of considering the water and wastewater rates, the discussion about capacity charge was brought up, and we, as a city staff, are reviewing that with Bartle Wells right now and hope very soon to come back to the council with a recommended adjustment to the capacity charges.
One other suggestion would be, where I work, Alameda County Water District, when you get a hydrant meter, there's a monthly charge for that. And I believe all we do here is that we take a deposit. So not only should you be charged for the water you're using, but for using the device that provides you the hydrant water. I think it would be right to charge for that. That's it.
Anyone else?
Through the chair.
Rico?
A couple things. When we last had a contract with the county in regards to backflows, I do see on page 81 there's something stipulating the backflow protective device in the 2 inches and smaller. Price it going from 50 to 55, but I think it was about 42,500 or somewhere around there that we are contracting with the county in order to have backflow annual testing done, and that was passed with the caveat that we were going to look to see if that was something we should be recouping from commercial properties and should be placed in the master fee schedule. So I didn't see that, and so I just wanted to circle back around to that conversation from the contract. And also, I know we've talked about in regards to fees, and I know for the city of San Bruno, an encroachment is based on the evaluation. So this is just a side note, but I would suggest that the city, when they're returning the deposit to a user, that it quantify an address. So we're one of a few cities that just gives a deposit back, which is great, right? But it doesn't quantify the address. So if you're a business and you're getting a check back, then you have to go down to research where it's stipulated. Most agencies and jurisdictions actually quantify what address that returned is from. Makes good accounting on both ends. And I know when we talk about permits and the costs, and they vary. I mean, a basic off the top of my head, a basic building permit in Redwood City is $50. In San Mateo, it's $117.36. So it does fluctuate from one end to the other. Inspections are much more detailed, as the vice mayor was saying. But when we're starting to say that we're at a certain level, I'm trying to understand, too, in my mind, who has a little bit of knowledge now in the jurisdictions when it comes to this, how we're basing the cost as well as the recoup that needs to be made. So that, again, we want people to come and do the right thing, go through the process, have a good experience, and do the right thing.
Could I just ask you on the backflow, your comment on the backflow preventer, was that page 81, section 410 you were referring to?
I was looking at, section 410 is what I could see as far as backflow device, but to me that was adding, or for each one, I don't know, is that stipulating that is what we're charging? We had a county contract that we approved for $42,000+, if I'm going off memory. And the question was to come back to see if that's a cost that should be incurred by the commercial property and not the ratepayer. That's what I'm referencing.
I'll have to check.
Okay.
Any other comments for staff before we open the public hearing? Okay, at this time, we're going to open the public hearing, and any members of the public like to address the council on this item? Please tell us your name and your street, please.
My name is Steve Seymour, and my street is Mastic Avenue. I really just have a question, hopefully to educate myself and maybe others sitting here and viewing on cable TV. Maybe this question is to Jim, but did you say that the cost of running the department to do the permitting, the building permitting, is $1.9 million? Did I understand that right?
That was Jim.
The 17-18 proposed budget, the building inspection division is, the proposal is about $1.9 million.
So that includes the inspectors as well as the administration of the inspection process.
So it includes everyone in the chain that works that process?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you said the recovery is $1.5 million?
That's correct. Yes.
So who pays the other $400,000?
It's the expenditures and revenues are in the general fund, so it's really a general fund taxpayer supported difference when any difference between revenues generated, specific charges in the general fund that are not equal to the expenditure, it results in a subsidy for that particular service or individual.
So then if someone here is applying for a building permit, they pay their building permitting costs and other associated costs, and the rest of what's not paid by them collectively, them and everyone else who applies for these permits, is paid by the taxpayers of the city for their projects? That's my question. I just wanted to understand it myself.
All right, thank you.
And I would just add, the proposal to increase the fees is a step towards minimizing that gap.
Anyone else from the public? If I close the public hearing, you're going to be precluded from discussing this item with us.
Move to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion is second to close the public hearing. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any action by the council or further discussion?
Well, this is kind of a point of order. So the comments that the council members have made in the corrections or requests, are we going to have those come back to us? Like, are we voting on what they said? How are we doing this?
So the one thing that, so there were a couple of things that were requested that we look into, and one in particular that we're intending to bring back. So that was the capacity charge on, in water. So we're, and then the one item we were proposing that the wastewater illegal connection might be increased to $750 the same way the illegal water connection. So that was not represented in the materials here. In the other items, we would appreciate the City Council's direction as to any or all of those items that you'd like us to bring back. But you can do that and approve or make changes to and then approve the item that is in front of you tonight.
Okay, Marty?
When are we expecting to hear on the sewer and water capacity study?
So we have, work is in process through our water and wastewater rate consultant, and we would be in a position, I believe, to bring that back within the next 30 days.
Okay.
So through the chair, so in essence, we can approve everything except the items that the council has asked for further information for.
You can certainly do that, yes.
Okay, and before I submit that we do that, I just have a question on, it's the reports, page 12. I'm sorry, it doesn't, it's the agenda, page 74, I believe. But it says other inspections and fees. It's under plumbing permit and related fees is the title, and that says other inspections and fees, and section 413, and it has a change to $220, which I understand, but why the minimum charge of 2 hours? That seems, is it because it's after normal hours?
Because it's after normal hours, yes.
Okay. Okay. So,
Go ahead.
well, I was just going to make a motion that we accept the fees except for the ones that there are questions and information to
Before you
be
do
brought
that,
back.
do you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm just going to vote no on this, but if it's my colleague's pleasure, I'd like to see a little more information on the increase of permit fees. To me, it's a big jump. If I get an explanation that it's out of whack right now, or because it's so hasn't been increased in so many years or something, but to say that we're just aligning with other jurisdictions is not enough for me. So if we can get more information on that, on the background on why that increase is proposed, and in addition to what Councilmember O'Connell says, to go from $120 an hour to $220, that doesn't explain itself to me either. So I understand going up $20, $30 an hour on certain costs and things, but to take, in my opinion, drastic jumps in certain services yeah, without explanation isn't acceptable.
Irene?
So I believe I have to do a resolution. So I'm going to introduce the resolution for approval, except for the items that have been asked to be brought back and studied further, not including the building inspections. Let's see, people can,
Not
let me
including
read,
that.
pardon me?
Not including that.
So the sewer, the illegal hookup change, and the backflow
Right.
change.
So I have three items. One is the water connection fee. The second is the backflow fee that Councilmember Rico Medina identified. And the third is the consideration of a hydrant meter charge that we do not currently have, as indicated by Councilmember Marty Medina.
Okay.
Those are the three items that staff heard and would be prepared to bring back, other than Councilmember Vice Mayor Ibarra's more general comment about the building fees overall.
Through the chair, Mr. Vice Mayor, is it that if the building fees come back in 2 weeks with a more defined explanation, then that within 30 days, then that may be something that's more palatable?
Yes, I'd like more information on it.
Is it possible, Councilman McConnell, for that to be excluded from that so that it can come back all in one shot and hopefully there's more information for the Vice Mayor?
I'm going to say no, particularly because to me I understand some of the changes are high, but in general they don't even cover the costs of operating this department. So the way I read this cost was while it was being upped, it was being spread across as broadly as possible to the items that most people use. So we don't like charging our residents for things, but the things that they are using cost money, and we have to find it somewhere. So I think this is a reasonable increase. It's trying to close the gap between the $1.9 million it costs to run the department and the $1.5 million that's even not an assurity, that is an estimate based on past, correct, Mr. O'Leary, based on past experience. So we may get more, we may get less. Anyway, so no, I'm saying no on that part.
I appreciate
one
The
more
short
comment.
answer is no.
I appreciate the explanation. And I guess even if something does pass on the master fee schedule and it comes back with the building permits, that can be re-examined and modified. Is that not correct?
Sure.
If the question is, could you amend the master fee schedule that as it has been previously approved? So if you approve the building fees tonight, could you take a different action at another meeting? The answer is yes.
Thank you.
It would be an amendment to the master fee schedule.
Marty, you have something else?
Yeah, a follow-up question, because the $400,000 from the building department, does that include code enforcement within the building department? That generally isn't really a cost recoverable function.
Development, it's planning,
That,
building.
is that included? In the,
I just looked at building inspection division budget, and it's $1.9 million. So I
It does include code enforcement. We can look at that more carefully and precise,
Right.
the difference between code
so
enforcement and
that's not
building.
really a cost recoverable, it's like the police. You don't get your money back from the police.
So
A lot of it's
we-
an overhead expense.
Right, it's overhead and all that, so there is a cost
If
to
it's a
have.
council,
Charge more for the
yeah,
library,
if it's a
too.
council's pleasure that
I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
and-
we can
and-
do that.
Swimming pool, swimming
And
lessons
I
are going
understand,
up.
and I think raising a fee because, well, the whole point of the fee is what is it cost to issue that permit and to inspect that work? I think is important, and having a little bit more information on that would be beneficial to justify why we're raising the fees. That's what I'm looking at.
Thank you.
And I think we could
Not cost more.
wait on most of it and come back and hear back from staff. That's what I suggest we do.
Well, I believe Ms. O'Connell introduced the resolution for adoption with the three items.
Okay.
Right, with the building permit fees excluded. That they're approved as submitted tonight, yes.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina,
No.
Vice Mayor Ibarra,
No.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Okay, we get on to item number 11, which is going to be our Citizens Crime Prevention Committee Annual Report. Mary?
So this is on. Very good. Good evening, Mayor Ruane and also council members. My name is Mary Mahan, and I'm the chair of the San Bruno Citizens Crime Prevention Committee. I'm here tonight with the members of the committee to present our annual report for 2017. Oops. That's not working, I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. So first I would like to do is to introduce the members. First of all, we have Val Morgan, who is our vice chair. Next, we have Peter Carey, our member at large. We have Robert Reichel, Richard Wong. Deanna Robinson is unable to attend this evening. And the last one, our newest member, is Rhonda Boone. Yes. I would also like to acknowledge Roberto Don Lucas. He's been a member of our committee for many years, and recently he had to resign as he's taken a position with the San Mateo Sheriff's Department. So we wish him great luck, and we know that he's going to do very well there. The other individuals I want to thank would be Council Member Rico Medina, who is our committee liaison, also Officer Sherry Campbell, who is currently on maternity leave, and also Officer Howard Hoyer from the Police Department. And they've served as our liaisons with the Police Department. So what I'd like to do now is to hand the annual reporting over to Val Morgan.
Good evening, Mayor Wan, council members, city officials, and Chief Barberini. One of our committee's main activities is promoting and assisting Neighbourhood Watch program.
You're gonna have to-
Okay. There are 24 active groups in this area now, and we have assisted the existing groups in any way we can, and we keep in touch with the 32 block captains. We collect names and contact information of any residents that show any interest in setting up a new group in their area when we man the booths at the various functions. We have encouraged the formation of new groups. Members of the committee and Officer Sherry Campbell or Howard Hoyer have attended the inaugural meetings of these new groups. We have advertised the programme by creating leaflets and distributing these and other brochures and information. We ensure that the library, the City Hall and the Chamber of Commerce are kept stocked with supplies of these informational materials and leaflets. We supported National Night Out. There were 8 separate parties last year, and we're hoping to increase the number of parties this year. We will be passing out flyers for the August the 1st event and contacting block captains and members enrolled in the Neighbourhood Watch programme. We supported and attended the Police Recognition Day in the Tanfran Mall, and we assisted in setting up and manning an informational booth or a table there. We distributed crime prevention literature, colouring books, crayons, pencils and police badge stickers to the children and DNA kits to the parents. We also gave verbal and printed information on Neighbourhood Watch. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Crime Prevention Committee, we have also distributed crime prevention information, distributed neighborhood watch and reporting suspicious activity behavior brochures at City Hall, the library, the senior center, and the San Bruno Chamber of Commerce. Provided safety and crime prevention literature on neighborhood watch, DNA collection, reporting suspicious activity, child safety information, and more. Developed and prepared an informational slideshow that is shown at safety fairs and other citizens' crime prevention presentations. It shows the committee and the police department working together. We're currently working on a video about the Citizens Crime Prevention Committee and the focus on neighborhood watch groups. Finally, our committee members with Officer Sherry Campbell have attended 8 new meetings to start neighborhood watch groups.
Some of our activities and accomplishments, we drafted bilingual English and Spanish crime prevention tips for public information and posted these on San Bruno Cable Channel 1, and also information on home security, drunk driving prevention, Halloween safety tips, ways to prevent fraud and scams, preventing distracted driving, and more. And we really appreciate that the city, through San Bruno Cable, continues to offer this avenue for us to get the information out to the public. We arranged 2 meetings at the San Bruno Police Department for the purpose of informing residents of our Neighborhood Watch program. One meeting was attended by approximately 30 residents and resulted in 3 new Neighborhood Watch groups being formed. Second meeting at the police department was for the block captains. There was approximately 14 persons in attendance who shared their ideas for Neighborhood Watch groups. And we plan on trying to do the block captain meetings at least once a year. We updated postings of meeting agendas and minutes on the San Bruno Police Department Crime Prevention Committee webpage. We proposed additions to the San Bruno Police Department redesigned webpage. We prepared a National Night Out flyer to be distributed by block captains and also to be distributed to the general public. We have planned participation for August 1st, 2017, National Night Out in San Bruno. We plan on having one fallback location at Grundy Park, is that right? And then hopefully a number of the block captains will have smaller gatherings within their specific neighborhood, because the neighborhood is the key unit for the Neighborhood Watch. We have obtained pencils and stickers to give away with our safety coloring books at our informational tables. The state legislature, the Senate, and the Assembly have been very good in donating for a number of years the coloring books, and they really draw the children in, so they bring the adults, and then we can talk to the adults a little bit more detail on our programs. And we obtained a child DNA kit for distribution at our informational table. And goals for 2017-2018 are ongoing is to continue to expand Neighborhood Watch, continue to participate in a National Night Out, obviously to assist the police department with projects as needed, and the chief has already given us a couple suggestions that hopefully we'll be able to undertake. Develop and disseminate information. We are updating currently 1 or 2 new brochures. We are constantly supplying updates for the city's Citizen Crime Prevention website, and we will continue to post monthly safety tips on San Bruno Cable Channel 1. Also, we'll continue to promote and support the Police Recognition Day, which is a Saturday in May at Tanforan Mall. The participation by the other jurisdictions continues to remain high, and the people and the dog demonstrations seem to show that it is very well accepted. We will continue to attend and participate in safety fairs. Tanforan usually has at least one a year where we man our booth and make our information available. Continue to provide crime prevention booth information at the Posey Parade upcoming in 2018. We will be working on National Night Out celebration in 2018, and we're going to try and work a little harder this year going forward on collaborating with other committees within the city of San Bruno. And with that, I think I am supposed to introduce our chairperson, Mary, and she has a couple last comments.
Well, first of all, we want to thank the City Council. We want to thank our liaison from the council, Mr. Rico Medina, also the San Bruno Police Department, and in particular, Chief Ed Barberini, and also officers Howard Hoyer and Sherry Campbell. We also want to, oops, let me get this. Basically, we also want to invite residents of San Bruno to our meetings. They're held the second Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock at City Hall in the, it's actually it's conference room 113. And the agenda usually includes neighborhood watch events and also events that the committee is going to be involved in. And these meetings are open to the public. One final thing, we would like to show a video that was prepared for a National Night Out. And this was one of the last things that Roberto Don Lucas prepared for us.
Good afternoon. This is Peter Carey here at beautiful Grundy Park for National Night Out. National Night Out is a great opportunity for you and your entire family to get to meet and interact with the police officers. But also, if you have any questions or concerns, they can answer it for you.
It's nice to get out here and support the police officers, especially in light of some of the things that are going on around the country. And I'm a 62-year resident of San Bruno, and this is my first time I've come out for one of these things. So it's nice to meet your neighbors, meet some of the police officers. They're not writing tickets tonight, so that's good.
National Night Out is an event to help you get to know your neighbors better. Communication with your neighbors helps to reduce criminal activity within your neighborhood.
So I'd encourage people to come out. I know I'll be coming back each year. And I think it's good for us to show our support to the men and women in blue.
San Bruno's involvement with the National Night Out has grown over the last few years. It's gotten bigger. We've having more locations where there are celebrations and get-togethers, whether it's a barbecue. We look forward to growing it and continuing to grow it in the future, just as we're working on getting more and more neighborhood watch groups throughout San Bruno. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, all of you, and I believe you have a full complement of members now, right? That's great. First time in a long time. Well, you do some wonderful work, and as I do always, I want to thank all of our boards and commissions and committees. People don't realize the literally thousands of hours, all volunteer hours, that all of these boards, commissions, and committees put in at their expense for our benefit. So it really is important. We want to really thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Item number 9, public comment on items not on this agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and interaction where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Would anyone like to address the council?
Sorry, folks.
Just tell us your name and your street.
My name is Charles Berry. I live on Linden. So I just wanted to bring to your attention the passing of a longtime resident. So a couple of our neighbors got together, put a few words together. We just want to make sure that her passing didn't go without note. So in memoriam, hang on. So we honor our Huntington Park, Linden Avenue neighbor, Gail Stoddard Williams, who passed away in May after a long illness, lovingly tended to by her husband Jim and their children. Gail grew up in San Bruno. Her parents moved her family to Linden when she was just 4 years old. She lived in that same house, raised her own family, and supported her community until her final days on Linden Avenue. A graduate of Cappuccino High School, she held a lifelong interest in local history and was an avid professional in genealogical research. She enriched many people's lives with her sense of community and familiar responsibilities. Gail was a giver. She had a gentle nature with a sincere interest in helping wherever she could. She'd always been involved in her community in some way. As an adult, she was the City of San Bruno coordinator for the Perot for President campaign and contributed valuable time to the Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, PTA, as the Cappuccino High School fundraising chairwoman, and as a researcher for the Friends of San Bruno Vision Framework. Gail's favorite color was purple. Her home, her clothes, her garden hose. I lived next door to her. She had a purple garden hose. It was great. Evidence of her nature. I mean, you could just see it everywhere. I mean, the neighborhood cats, whether it be strays or the neighbor's cats, they would just kind of find their way to her and make her way inside and feel at home on her couch. But anyway, we thank you, Gail, for her gentle presence and her neighborly spirit, and we will miss her. When we see the skies above awash in soft purple and blue hues, we will smile at the thought of you making your mark in God's garden, and we thank you again for the beauty of your life. So respectfully submitted, the neighbors of Linden and Poplar Avenue with the Friends of San Bruno Vision Framework. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sure. And we did, I was absent at the meeting, but a couple of meetings ago, Vice Mayor Ibarra did close the meeting in her memory. So you should know that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else under public comment?
Steve, Mastic Avenue. I'd really like to thank Eric, Mr. Jackson, for the presentation he did earlier on San Bruno Responds. I think it was very helpful, and if anyone was in this room, it would have been very easy for them to see how to use that app. I want to thank you all and Connie for bringing the app to the San Bruno public. I think it's going to be helpful. I realize that in the beginning there may be an onslaught of reports, but I think in the end it's going to make things more efficient, and we'll be more proud of our neighborhoods. I'd also like to share with everyone something that we did this past weekend. A group of 30 of us went to Commodore Park, and we cleaned up that park. It was great. It was a real community event. It's the kind of thing that I felt really proud to be a part of. Not unlike the events that the city puts on that brings everybody together. It kind of brings a sense of pride. And in Commodore Park, we were able to do some weeding and picking up some trash. And one thing that I think we noticed was there's been a discussion here for a long time about dog parks. The dog park at Commodore Park, I think we could be proud of that dog park. I think with a little bit of work that we could kind of bring that thing to life without a lot of effort. It's not well kept right now, but if we put just a little bit more effort into it, it could be well kept, and more people then could use that dog park than use it today. So I know we've talked about other places we could put dog parks, and we've got the city park thing going in Grundy, but I think more people would use that dog park if a little more care was taken at it. So I ask you all if there's anything that we can do, kind of bring it to life. I think we'd see a lot more four-legged family members in that park. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anyone else under public comment?
Good evening, Tim O'Brien, Florida Avenue. I took part in the cleanup of Commodore Park as well with Steve and many other residents and friends. It was a good time out. We had a little barbecue after. But yeah, the park was in bad condition, and so it was fun. I mean, it was good. We took pride in cleaning it up and making it look nice. But as far as the dog park, I know we've talked before with Park and Rec about improving that site, the dog park, and I don't think it'll take that much effort to do it. It's already there, and we can make a lot more improvements to make it more functional and more inviting for people to come there and hang out. I think it's a great place, great site. We can improve it with some more benches. We were there. We talked to a few people that were there hanging out while we were cleaning the park, and they were from out of town. They weren't from San Bruno. They were from like Pacifica, South City, and Daly City. And they made some recommendations too as far as improving the park, making it a little bigger, more inviting, and just some slight improvements. You know, making more of a grassy area for it. And my wife and I, Raina, will help out. We're willing to adopt that park and make improvements to it, and get other people involved and to improve that park. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else under public comment? Not to get too far out of line here in public comment, but Carrie, could you give us just a brief overview of Adopt a Park?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Through the Parks Division of the Community Services Department, with the approval of the Parks and Recreation Commission and the City Council a couple of years ago, we have an Adopt a Park program where community organizations, school organizations, faith-based organizations can come to us with concepts and ideas for parks that they would like to adopt or activities in a park that they would like to adopt. We have a structured program. We can support them and make sure that the work that they're doing in the park meets the overall objectives of the maintenance in that park. And so we invite them to give us a call. You can reach us, let's see what the best number would be. Call me. You can reach me at 616-7181, and I would be delighted to talk to you about the park, Adopt a Park program.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, seeing no other speakers, we'll go on to conduct of business. Item 10A, appoint citizens to fill vacancies on the Planning Commission. We interviewed for the Planning Commission a couple of weeks ago, had some excellent applicants, and we're going to appoint 2 this evening. We're actually going to be 3 short at the end of August. Tonight we're going to appoint the first 2. Marie is going to step down as she's moving away from the city, from the Planning Commission too, in August, and we're going to use the same list, the remainder of the same list to appoint, but we won't do that until she actually steps down from the Planning Commission at that time. So what we're going to do is ask for nominations for the 2 positions that are open. Would anybody like to nominate someone?
I'd like to nominate Sophie Legrace, I think is how you pronounce it.
Okay, Sophie. There's a motion second for Sophie. Any other nominations?
Through the chair, I'd like to nominate Kelly Lethin.
Okay. Is there a second for Kelly?
Second.
Okay. Any other?
To the chair,
Marty?
I'd like to recommend Linda Martin Mason.
Okay. Is there a second for Linda Martin Mason?
I'll second.
Okay. Any others? Okay. How about Sophie Legace? I believe it is. We have a motion and a second for Sophie. All in favor for Sophie?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Sophie, you're in. Congratulations. Let's do next on the list, Linda Martin Mason. Motion and a second for Linda Martin Mason. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 2 or 3? How many? Aye. Aye.
We will only get 2 votes, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, how about Kelly Lethin? Is a motion second?
Aye.
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 Okay. No. So it looks like Kelly and Sophie will be on the Planning Commission, and then we're going to appoint the third member after Marie steps down in August, and we'll use the same list. Okay.
Congratulations, ladies.
Yeah, congratulations. They were excellent, excellent. Okay, that's done.
Wait a second.
Irene?
I'd like, you always do this, all the applicants were exceptional, and
They were.
we'd like to thank them and everyone else who ever applies to any of our public commissions. We appreciate the valuable
as we told
talents
them, always
you
keep
bring
your
to
name on
us.
the list, right.
Yes, and we will keep your name on the list. And also, planning commission meetings are public meetings. Anyone can attend. So thank you.
Okay. Item 10B, adopt a resolution approving cable television service rates effective August 1st, 2017, and modifying the bundling discount program to include the faster levels of internet service. Steve?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff is before you tonight, as you said, to recommend a rate adjustment for 2 of our cable services and to also ask your approval for an expansion of the Bundle and Save discount program we currently have for higher levels of internet service. You have a staff report in front of you which details the staff's recommendations, and the subcommittee also has reviewed and made recommendations on the proposals in an earlier meeting in April. The reasons for the rate increase are due to the cost recovery for television programmer fee increases, internet infrastructure improvements, and other capital investment projects that staff is recommending, such as a new fiber to the home project, Wi-Fi service in the downtown and in City Park. It should be noted that the rate increase is only the third one in the last 6 years for cable services and products, and it is necessary for cost recovery. Programming fees that the department pays to networks, ESPN, Lifetime, Disney, and almost every channel San Bruno Cable carries continue to rise for all TV providers in the market, Comcast, AT&T, everybody, so it's not just San Bruno. While the limited basic platform, the most basic TV service we carry, was originally considered for a rate adjustment, it was deliberately not recommended by the subcommittee for this lowest tier of basic TV service. So the rate is proposed to remain the same for the lowest level of service for the 600 or so subscribers who take that service. The expanded basic level of service, the next level of TV service, offers an additional 68 channels. Recently moved Fox Business News from a higher tier down to that, and NHL channel was also added to that platform this year. Most, if not all channels in this package have seen an increase for carriage. The department is recommending a $3.47 increase for the expanded basic platform. Again, as I mentioned, Digistar Basic, the next level of video services, lost a couple of channels, which migrated to expanded basic. And those cost increases were effectively a wash and offset, so we're not recommending a rate increase for Digistar Basic. You have the TV rate comparisons shown in your packet for similar channels delivered by satellite Comcast, Soundwave, and AT&T. It indicates San Bruno's video packages and regular rates, which will continue to remain lower or comparable to the other local video service providers. The other rate increase recommended is for level 1 internet service. San Bruno Cable made a significant investment in infrastructure improvements over the last 6 years for these residential services, and recovery of that investment and continued planned project costs need to be recovered. There are some major upgrades planned for next fiscal year as well to increase capacity and redundancy for this service. The significant investments in network infrastructure replacement and upgrades is the result of asking for a recommended $4.85 increase for the level 1 internet service. This rate will still remain below our competitors for the most penetrated tier, as shown in the comparative analysis. I do want to mention, as part of this rate increase, we will be increasing the speeds from 50 megabits per second to 75 megabits per second, so we're going to raise that level of service. And it also should be noted that this is level 1 service, and level 1 service already gets a bundle and save discount. So effective rate is about $40. But if you take it by itself, you're going to pay the full rate, but the a la carte rate. But there is a discount when you take it with TV. So while the rates are comparable to our competitors, delivery level of San Bruno Cable service and support is of high value to us and our customers. We still offer free, same, or next business day calls. We fix your remote. If you can't figure out how the remote works, we'll come out to replace cable. We do that at no cost to the customer, extra cost to the customer. We have 24-hour tech support and a local office present to address issues and account issues. Any packages including these services will see an increase. So if you have, if you have Internet Level 1 or you have Expanded Basic, you'll see that. But we're only recommending increases on those two services. Subscribers without these services will not see any increase. The second part of this presentation will focus on what I kind of alluded to earlier, expanding on the Bundle and Save program that we have for Level 1. We'd like to extend that to Level 2, to Level 3, and Level 4. We have about 400 customers on Level 2, and about 100 of them take television service. And there's been some requests to offer a Bundle and Save program for that level of service. And we'd like to recommend that to the council as a means of getting some more revenue and offering television service to these folks at a little bit of a discount. The Cable Subcommittee met in April to review these proposals for Internet and the video service rate adjustments and the expansion of the Bundle and Save program, and if approved, the rate increase and proposed new bundled rates would take effect on August 1st. Again, the proposed rates expect to bring in additional revenues to build Internet infrastructure, cover those programming costs increases, pay loan payments for increased Internet upgrades, allow for expansion of the fiber to the home build-out, and a Wi-Fi project that we're looking for in the downtown and City Park. The proposed increase has been incorporated into the Cable Department's operating and capital budget being proposed for 2017-18. And as required by law, a 30-day notice will be, the rate increase will be delivered in the July bills. The rate increase information will also be posted on our website and on Cable Channel 1. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions for Steve? Ken?
Through the chair. Steve, the competitors are big, regional, not national. What can you tell me as far as their service? As far as if their customers' remote goes out, or if they have a problem in their, with their service, what happens?
Yeah, I can tell you that customers that come into our office that have had AT&T or had a different dish provider or DirecTV provider say that it took a week to get an appointment for them to come out for, and they wouldn't even come out for a remote. It took them a week to come out for an issue with their television set or with their service. We don't, we're business day, but next business day or same business day, we come out. Sometimes he calls in the morning, we can get out in the afternoon, we'll come out and work on it. I have Comcast, so I have a service, I have a competitor service. I've called for appointments, but personal experience, I call for appointments, said they'll be out on the weekend, didn't show up, called it, oh, sorry, it was a different day, didn't show up that day either. It's hit and miss. We can't get away with that in San Bruno.
You need to move into towns.
Yeah, I absolutely.
I think, as far as marketing and things, I think that needs to really be, because that's what it's great to see the comparisons in our staff report and stuff, but the public needs to see the comparisons, and we shouldn't pull any punches. We should let people know, instead of them getting the teaser rates and then finding out, what the shortcomings are. They are major volume discount, I'm sure, and because you see their ads incessantly throughout network, channels and things. So they're making a hefty profit off of them, and they're not giving them the service. So let the marketing gurus, do what they can. But I think this is a good step, and in rewarding our residents and letting them know, that we have a superior service.
And the council approved, as you know, as being a member of the council, approved a fiber to the home project at Shelter Creek recently. We've seen an increase in subscribers there. We don't see that in general, and most cable companies see a loss of video subscribers. We've seen an increase in video subscribers, an increase in internet subscribers, and part of that is that we have a technology that people are interested in because it satisfies their needs. So we're hoping to continue that. But again, you're right, marketing the service and promoting, we probably get sick of hearing my voice on some of those channels talking about retention and the grass is greener. But the idea is that, we are better. So, people know that. So.
Anyone else?
Chair?
Marty?
Following up on the Vice Mayor, so what percentages have we seen at Shelter Creek? And that was going to be the model to determine whether we're going to spring out and put fiber in other parts of town. Can you share with us what we're seeing so far?
So yes, I can. And I will have a more full report for you with those numbers, because there is a little disagreement on when we started calculating those numbers. But back in August of 2015, since then and up to now, that was before we started the project, so I'll be honest about that. But it was been 178 new subscriptions, which is 20% growth of what we had before. So we're over 70% growth at Shelter Creek based on that number. Now, that was well before we actually built anything there. That was when we were just talking to them about the project. But we've definitely seen over 250 new revenue-generated units. So in that same timeline, which means that people that didn't have internet or didn't have TV signed up for service. So those revenue-generating services, were added as well. So even though it was 178 homes that we went into, it wasn't just 178 revenue-generating units. So in my opinion, it's been a success, and hopefully it'll be, in your opinion, that as well. We've also seen a growth in revenue from there, which is able to pay for our loan. So we're hoping that will continue to, a different MDU.
So everybody that signed up, that project is complete.
We are putting the finishing touches. We're still, we've removed all of the old cable from the building, and there's still some touch-up painting and things like that we need to do. But everybody's hooked up.
Everybody's hooked up.
Over 900
Is hooked up.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a little technical question, and so I'm looking at the difference between level 1 and level 2 internet service. So you're going from 75 bits per second, megabits per second, to 100.
It's the other way. So we're going from 50 to 75.
I'm sorry, but from level 1 to level 2 is 75 to 100. Is there a reason why that can be higher at the 100?
The level 200 could go higher?
Right, because you're going from 5 for basic,
yeah,
then 75 for level 1,
right,
then level 2 is 100, right? So there's only 25% more,
right,
and then you jump to 300.
So, okay, good question. So the places we can do 301 gig are only at Shelter Creek. Okay, so it's a fiber system, and it's capable of doing that. It can also do 150 and 75 because those are lower. But in the rest of the city, all we can do, for the most part, is 100, a max, until we have the infrastructure in place. So at this point, it's a capacity issue. We don't just want to raise it just to raise it. We want to make sure that if we say we're going to get up to 75, that at least during the day you'll see up to 75 or 100 if you have the 100 meg service.
Okay. The last thing I would ask for is to really push the marketing side of what we're doing, and I understand we have
Bob Atchison is here,
our
our business
new
manager.
employee dealing with that. I'd like to see something where when somebody moves into San Bruno, do we give them a packet, and in there is automatically a free month of something or whatever it is that's currently occurring?
We're currently doing that at Shelter Creek with the non-subscribers now. But in fact, we were talking this afternoon about creating that. We don't have a packet that we give to. We have to know if someone's moving in or out. So.
Right, but as soon as they sign up for water.
Oh, yeah.
Right then is the time
we
to
have
get
the
them,
packets there,
because then they'll sign somewhere else, and they'll have a 2-year contract from AT&T, U versus whatever.
That's right.
And then it's too late.
Yep.
So I really hope that
absolutely
we'll find a way of putting that through. Maybe
we do have packets there, but we probably need to have a more special offer and push that a bit more at the.
And the refer a friend program is $20
each. $20 for the person
$20
referring
each.
and $20 for the person.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else for Steve? Or action by the council?
Go ahead.
I'll introduce the resolution for approval.
Vice Mayor Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Aye.
Mayor Ruane?
Aye. Item 10C, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Sierra Traffic Markings, Inc. for the on-call striping contract in the amount of $50,000 and approving a total budget in the amount of $55,000.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The topic in front of you tonight is regards to the on-call striping contract. The city has a pedestrian safety and traffic calming program in our capital improvement program to address and respond to neighborhood traffic-related concerns through the installation of various traffic control devices. And these traffic control devices, such as pavement markings like lane stripings, are used to convey messages to drivers using the roadway. And this contract will install new markings recommended by the Traffic Safety and Parking Committee, and also will help restore some of the existing pavement markings. The scope includes furnishing and placement of thermoplastic materials for the purpose of striping, road legends, installation of raised and retroreflective pavement markers, and removal of traffic striping and roadway legends, and providing temporary traffic and pedestrian control. The project was advertised in the San Mateo County newspaper on April 26th, as well as May 3rd. Notice to bidders were sent to 66 contractors listed in the city's contractors directory, and also posted on the city's website. A total of 2 bids were received and opened on May 17th, one from Sierra Traffic Markings and the other from Crisp Company. The contractor, apparent low bidder is the Sierra Traffic Marking with the bid amount of $65,225, and the contractor has completed similar on-call striping services for agencies such as Palo Alto and Dublin. And staff contacted the respective project managers at those public agencies and received favorable references for the Sierra Traffic Markings, and the general feedback was that the contractor performed well on these pavement marking projects and completed their tasks as requested within the scope and schedule. Therefore, staff is recommended to award a contract to Sierra Traffic Markings as the firm meets the qualifications requirements as specified in the contract documents. The contract award, it will be only for up to $50,000, and the installation of the pavement marking is a moving operation, so there may be some temporary lane closures that's needed during construction, and we will be notifying any residents of any impacts to road closures if it's necessary to perform the work. And as for the fiscal impact, the traffic calming program budget includes an allocation of $267,000 to complete the design and construction of various traffic safety projects, and total project cost is within the budget, and the amount will not result in any additional fiscal impact. And the city will continue to use our striping equipment where we can, and supplement this contract for locations where our staff are unable to perform the work. So this concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jimmy?
He just answered it, which was I knew we had a zipper machine, we have a striper machine, we are using it, staff does use it. It's just you're saying that they can't get to all of it, so this is the reason, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any action by the council?
Through the chair.
Marty? Oh, go ahead.
I just want to mention that I'm glad this is coming before us, because it's just recently I noticed that when we come up to an intersection that the marking is almost gone, and in many cases there are crosswalks striping that is pretty much worn out. So I think it's really important, real safety measure to at least get those crosswalks up to par, visible.
Okay. Marty?
Yes, thank you. So they're going to come out and on a 5 times, 10 times. You have an idea? Is there a mobilization charge that they're going to be providing? And if it's only 50,000, I'm concerned of how much that's going to get done. And then, of course, I'm concerned of why can't our crews do it if we have the equipment, and they're overwhelmed, or it's just so random, or help me understand that.
Sure. So as part of the TSPC, I know there's a lot of recommendations that comes through in regards to the traffic calming issues that we're dealing with, and what some of the recommendations that come forward are to install these fog lines to reduce the lane width, to control the speeds. And there's locations in the city that have been recommended that we have to install these fog lines. These are really long stretches of road where our staff are unable to perform those type of traffic pavement markings. So we do use our the equipment where we can, and we've used it on several a couple of crosswalks recently to replenish the crosswalks. In regards to the mobilization, yes, there's going to be there's a set amount of costs that we put in our bid that a minimum of $5,000 per each service that we request from them to be able to, so that they can mobilize each time. So as a minimum work, at least up to about $5,000 is what we have in our contract.
And you're anticipating them coming out, well, obviously less than 10, but
right.
A couple of the larger projects, is one of them Crystal Springs?
That's correct.
With all the buttons in the middle of the road, and okay, that one's been at the TSPC
Yeah.
meetings for a while. And if you could send me a copy of the bid sheet.
Sure.
I would appreciate getting that to kind of see what items they're being charged. And these are prevailing wage contracts, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, all right.
Anything else?
Yes, through the
Irene?
chair. Thank you. So Jimmy, is San Bruno Avenue also in this list? Great, okay. And then how are you determining what comes next? And which is related to my second question, is $50,000 enough? Should we be upping this? Because along with Vice Mayor Ibarra, I've noticed more than several crosswalks that are being faded, and especially I'm concerned during the summer months, not so much, but before the school starts up again, I would really like us to make sure all this crosswalks and the stop sign markings by all the school crossings are up to par. I noticed even on Oak by St. Robert's, it's pretty faded.
Yeah, so $50,000, there's a lot of thermoplastic that needs to be replenished, in our city. So we would have to assess the, all those locations and come up with an amount. But for now, what we had estimated was $50,000 was going to be adequate for some of the work that we had already have in our work plan is from the TSPC, as well as some of the other, like Crystal Springs and San Bruno Avenue. But we can definitely come back to council at a later time if we do need additional money by having another contract, and let's see how this one goes first.
Okay, and I have one more question. Could we have an update sometime soon on the San Bruno Foundation's requests for certain community foundation,
The flashing beacons.
Totally.
Safety improvements,
Yeah, the
right.
money that they've given us to do certain pedestrian crosswalks. Have we progressed very far on those things?
We have, actually. So the city has been designing the flashing beacons at 2 locations. So we designed it at Portola Elementary School. There's a mid-block crossing there, just right down, just got the crest of the hill at Amador. Then the other 2 locations were at Parkside Intermediate School. And so we perform our own internal design to try to save some money and costs for the installation of, for these. And so we've done that. We've also included 2 locations as part of the San Mateo Avenue Water and Sewer Replacement Project. And so that will be coming to council for award of contract on July 11th.
Okay, and then, and then, remember, I think it's been 3 years now, that you all, through Caltrans doing a crosswalk on Angus and El Camino, and we went through all sorts of gyrations about it, and that's been a long time. Anything, yeah, tiger stripes. Where is that?
Yeah, I do have an update on that as well. And
Great.
so the project, we recently submitted the project to Caltrans for their review, and they came back. The staff actually met with Caltrans at their headquarters, and when the reviewer, Caltrans reviewer, was not acceptable to some of the bulb outs that we had in there, or the curb extensions, as well as the median center refuge. And we're really concerned about that, because that was the whole intent of the design, is to shorten the crossing length for the pedestrians, so they'll be able to make it across the El Camino. So we are trying to go above him right now to try to talk to his supervisor and try to get this thing resolved, so that, because that wasn't something that we were anticipating, and it was kind of threw a curveball on us with their comments.
We've had discussions about this at CCAG, and if you email Sandy Wong, she'll give you the contact information you need, and you should be able to get action very soon.
Okay, perfect.
Thank
We'll
you.
do that. Thanks.
Anything else, or action by the council on this item?
I'll introduce.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Aye.
Mayor Ruane?
Aye. Item 10D, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with MC Engineering to complete a commercial water meter pre-installation survey and provide engineering support in the amount of $59,230, and a contingency of $10,000. Jim?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. Before you tonight is a resolution that would authorize the final steps in the advanced water meter project, which was first approved by council in 2014-15 as part of the capital improvement budget. As you might recall, in the recent presentation a few meetings ago to council, we discussed and closed out the first phase, which involved the replacement of the city's 10,511 residential water meters. The successful completion of this residential replacements has allowed for us to improve the tracking of water usage and provided numerous advantages over the previous system for both customers and for the city. In addition, as you know, the customers now have the ability to set up their own account and track their water usage, which we encourage every chance we get. As a result of this project that was just completed, the customer complaints have been reduced and incidents of significant water loss are being caught very early in the process through system alerts to not only the customer but to city staff, rather than after a leak has run undetected for some period of time and the customer received a large water bill. And we're very proud of the work that we're doing and saving some people some money, and they're very appreciative. These alerts also provide the Water Division staff with the helpful information to identify and repair some of the smaller leaks that would have gone unnoticed until a larger pipe break might have occurred. Many other water providers and municipalities in the Bay Area and in North America overall, including the city of Redwood City, the town of Hillsborough, and Mid-Peninsula Water District, have installed this advanced water meter system technology and to improve their customer service and operational efficiencies. In order to provide our business customers with the same benefits, staff is preparing to move forward with the replacement of commercial meters, which total about 900, which is the resolution before you tonight. But before the commercial water meters are replaced and integrated into the advanced water meter system, a pre-installation survey is required to verify not only the location of the commercial meters, but to assess the condition of the meters themselves, their connections, and the condition of them. But also the meter boxes, and also to provide outreach to the businesses and the managers of the businesses to get their take on what's going on, and also to help us with scheduling the actual replacements. This approach is being taken to reduce the impacts on businesses and the customers that frequent them, as well as to avoid and better plan for any infrastructure deficiencies that might be encountered during the course of the project. The advantage of this approach is that damage or issues related to the replacements can be addressed early on and planned for, therefore saving time and inconvenience to the businesses I have mentioned. What will happen is, once the survey takes place, we'll take this important information from the businesses and the scheduling and the infrastructure, and we'll work with them, develop a schedule for the replacements to reduce the impacts. All this information will also be used to prepare construction bid documents and will allow prospective bidders a more realistic picture of what they're bidding on, what the actual conditions are, and the requirements for the meter replacements. And that will also save time, inconvenience, and we'll also get a better price from contractors that might bid on the proposal or bid on the project. For this project, the city issued a request for proposal for professional engineering services back in March. The scope of work is to provide all the engineering and project management related to this work, including field investigations, the pre-installation and condition assessment survey, outreach to businesses and property owners, as I mentioned, and to prepare and manage GIS maps for the meter locations and develop a construction schedule and the bid documents. We received one proposal for this project, and we believe it's due to the very specialized nature of the work, and that while there's many engineering firms, some may not have the combination of experience in the advanced metering technology that our system is, but also the project management, the database and utility integration and coordination that's necessary for them to maybe propose a comprehensive and effective proposal. Based on the comprehensive review that we've done for the proposal, staff has determined that the project team from MC Engineering is a qualified firm and able to complete the pre-installation survey and the work necessary and the assessment necessaries before a contractor can begin replacing our commercial meters. MC Engineering has successfully completed similar engineering and project management services, including location surveys, meter condition assessments, meter data management, meter installation construction management for nearby agencies, including the town of Hillsborough, the Dublin-San Ramon Service District, and Blue Lake Springs Mutual Water Company, which I've spoken to all of the folks there, and they're very happy with them. And one of the things that drew my attention was their outreach to businesses and citizens, and that's important to us. In addition, MC Engineering, folks from MC Engineering worked with us on the residential project and provided data management, the GIS mapping, provided oversight and management services for that project, and they worked very successfully with not only city staff, but were very critical component to our utility billing and massaging that data from the meters and getting it into the billing system. And as I said, staff, I've been in contact with the different references and got nothing but positive results from that. Comments from all three agencies were not only did they perform very well, but they were very good at communicating with staff and residents, and that's very important for us. The firm's cost to complete this work is $59,230. Staff is proposing to include $10,000 for optional services to perform additional site surveys as needed. The optional services would only be used as specifically authorized by the city for additional work. At the conclusion of the pre-installation survey and the work related to that, staff will review the recommendations from MC Engineering and return to City Council to award a construction contract to install and replace the new commercial meters along with construction management services and inspection. It's estimated that MC Engineering can complete this pre-installation assessment within 1 to 2 months, and we're very fortunate because one of the employees actually lives in Half Moon Bay. So, and we've already talked about how we might implement their work, and they're probably going to go with one of our water staff that knows where the commercial meters are, and they'll speed things up as well. Replacement of the meters would be a separate task than the resolution in front of you tonight, and it's estimated to take a contractor between 6 to 8 months to complete following the notice to proceed. The total project cost to complete all the tasks in the overall project is estimated to be about $800,000 to $1.2 million. We think it's going to be closer to $800,000. The fiscal impact for this project is the contract amount before you tonight is for $69,230 with MC Engineering, and it's within the remaining $1,260,930 budget that's in the 2016-17 Advanced Water Meter Capital Improvement Project. Staff will provide the City Council with an updated meter installation cost when the construction contract is presented to the Council for award. It's expected to be within the remaining project budget, as I mentioned. Staff recommendation tonight is to adopt a resolution authorizing the City Manager to execute contract with MC Engineering to complete a commercial water meter replacement pre-installation survey and provide engineering support in the amount of $59,230 with a contingency of $10,000. And with that, I'll be happy to take questions.
Good. Any questions for staff? Marty?
Yes. Thank you. So when you put out requests for proposals, the report doesn't say where it was done. Did you contact firms? Was it in the newspaper, or how did that occur?
I know we put it on our website. I believe I'm not sure if it was in the newspaper, and we contacted the only firm that we knew that does this kind of work, which was MC Engineering.
Okay. So when they're doing the survey, they're just going to assess how badly damaged the box is, whether the new meter could fit in there, and we know already where all of our meters are. I'm just kind of trying to understand better what they're really doing. Mm-hmm. They are going to prepare the bid documents. Are they also going to do the construction inspection for the project that comes on, or that's another phase?
Correct.
So they're not doing any of the inspection for the project that we're gonna be doing later to install the meters?
That would come later.
Okay. So the sentence that says here on the third paragraph, the proposed scope of work is to provide all engineering and project management related work. That's for the survey.
Correct.
Okay. So I understand for the 900 meters, I'm having a little trouble understanding what the other $10,000 would be for. If we know we have 900 meters and we need to do surveys for 900 locations, then what would the other $10,000 do?
If we run into a situation that we have to do further investigation or possibly digging to find, if there's a valve or if there's a meter that's having issues. Some of these meters haven't really been looked at. They're touch reads, so they're in pits. We don't know the condition of vaults, pits. So we don't know the condition of them. That's sort of the point of the pre-installation survey. If we run into any issues and they're probably going to be access issues, if anything, then we may have to have a conversation, the director and I, about how do we proceed with that? Is that stuff that we do in-house? We have to coordinate with the business owner, that sort of thing. I don't anticipate that there's going to be much or any of that, but we don't want to have to come back to council and say we need $2,000 more to do this kind of work that we didn't anticipate. So.
Okay, and we don't have the staff to do this?
Not to this degree, no.
Okay.
Anyone else, Ken?
Yeah, just through the chair, I understand your questions and I appreciate those. I think it's a bargain for 900 installations, and I know, unlike the residential where it's right there by the sidewalk and all you gotta do is pop the lid, I can only imagine where the condition and the location of some of these meters are and the last time they were even accessed. And as far as a contingency of $10,000, if the more information we can get on each installation, and that's what's really key here, is that they're gonna have information and a profile for every single meter. If we don't do that, you're gonna be, the contractor's gonna be eating up his contingency, when the meters go in, actually. So I think it's prudent to do that at what I think is a very reasonable cost. So.
Anyone else?
Without any other information.
You have something else?
I'll adopt the resolution.
Vice Mayor Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Aye.
Mayor Ruane?
Aye. Our final item is 10E, adopt a resolution authorizing the receipt and allocation of $30,174 in grant funds from the California Board of State and Community Corrections to enhance homeless outreach efforts.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. The proposed resolution seeks to enhance efforts to provide housing resources to the transient population within San Bruno by investing one-time grant funding into a collaborative program that will supplement existing work being completed to address this issue. As you know, the county has established a contractual relationship with Life Moves to provide homeless outreach workers to all cities within the county. While this program continues to experience success, its greatest challenge is staffing, and homeless outreach workers are spread quite thin as they attempt to address homeless-related issues in multiple cities. The California Board of State and Community Corrections, or BSCC, was established in 2012 in conjunction with the state's realignment program as an independent statutory agency that provides leadership to the adult and juvenile criminal justice systems. The BSCC's work involves extensive collaboration with stakeholders, including local probation departments, county administrative offices, justice system partners, community-based organizations, and others. This work includes administering a host of federal and state public safety grants. The BSCC's City Law Enforcement Grant of the Budget Act of 2016 allocated $512,971 to law enforcement agencies within San Mateo County. The associated mandate of this grant is to increase positive outcomes between municipal law enforcement and high-risk populations. Local law enforcement agencies may use the funds to supplement, not supplant, efforts in one of 7 areas, including homeless outreach teams. Rather than spend the aforementioned funds as a county, the San Mateo County Police Chiefs Association decided to disperse these funds equally in the amount of $30,174 to each law enforcement agency within the county. While the decision regarding the manner in which these funds are to be dispersed has been made by the Chiefs Association, each city is tasked with determining how these funds shall be allocated. The San Bruno, South San Francisco, Burlingame, Colma, Hillsborough, Brisbane, and Broadmoor police departments have expressed a desire to allocate this funding in a manner that would enhance homeless outreach efforts. These law enforcement agencies have met with Life Moves as a group to develop a plan to expand the homeless outreach team's impact on homelessness through dedicated efforts specific to the aforementioned cities. The proposed funding will allow Life Moves to increase its capacity to provide these services by dedicating additional staff resources to serve homeless individuals in the participating cities. The Life Moves outreach program takes a regional approach, serving homeless individuals and families in our community. Case managers conduct outreach to homeless individuals in 5 currently identified regions in San Mateo County. Each city named in this funding plan is served by a homeless outreach worker in one of the 5 regions. This service will remain interrupted. The proposed additional funding will allow Life Moves to create a 6th region that will dedicate its efforts specifically to participating cities. Life Moves and police department representatives communicate weekly regarding homeless individuals and discuss any issues that may arise. This one-time funding will expand Life Moves' impact and increase its capacity to more effectively serve the homeless. The additional funding will allow Life Moves to increase its capacity to provide additional outreach services. Life Moves will dedicate a member of the outreach team to serve the cities that are involved in participating in this effort. The outreach workers will meet with law enforcement regularly to identify where homeless individuals reside and work to develop a rapport, make referrals to primary and behavioral health care, connect homeless folks to housing resources, and provide access to basic needs such as meals, showers, toiletries, and emergency shelter. It will also continue to enrich the relationship and collaborative efforts between Life Moves and key law enforcement agencies. Life Moves outreach staff will work remotely in available office space within each of the participating police departments. There is no fiscal impact associated with the receipt and allocation of these funds, and staff recommends that council adopt the resolution authorizing the receipt and allocation of these funds to support this effort. Thank you for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any
Great
questions.
idea. You have a question, Marty?
Thank you for the report. Approximately how many homeless average are there in San Bruno?
I think the last census, they do an annual homeless census, which admittedly is not very reliable. And I think we were up to several dozen, just under 100 identified homeless. We believe that it ranges anywhere from larger to that to below that, in that range, because some of these folks are transitory in nature.
Right. I think it's great that we're going to be supplementing the outreach. My concern is my experience in how the encampments are handled. I've spoken to Life Moves, and I wanted to have a better understanding of when they encounter a homeless encampment. I think it's very important that the homeless are told, we can help you, but you can't camp along the railroad tracks on Huntington. You can't camp behind the 7th Avenue on the county property. So when I express I guess when I question Life Moves about, well, what do you do? Well, I was told, we don't tell them to move. And I was a little surprised by that. And I understand why that they're not the enforcement side of it, but I think it's really important that to be sensitive to the homeless, but the only way they're really going to get the help is if they leave that campsite. They can't hang out. It's not clean. It attracts other illegal activity. And I understand it's totally not illegal to be homeless, but there are some things that go along with the campsites. So I guess I want to clarify our policy in with Life Moves that we have to make the message very clear. Like, you can't camp here if you're homeless. You have to come with us, or you have to go somewhere else. But you can't camp out in a parking lot. You can't camp out anywhere. You need to get the help, and here's the hand to help you. And if we're not telling them that message, and it appeared to me that Life Moves needs to be told that they have to tell the homeless to move, or the police have to be involved to tell them to move, or somebody. But I think that need of getting out of the encampment is important to be told from day one.
Yeah, I can respond to that. The Life Move staff is subject to the same legal restrictions that law enforcement is subject to. We can't remove people or tell them where they can be and where they can't be. There's case law that has established that these folks have certain rights, and we can't force them to accept or services that are offered. I think it's safe to say that Life Moves and a variety of other organizations is prepared to offer services that I believe would adequately house the population, our homeless population in San Bruno, at least the ones that are frequent here and not just passing through. The challenge, and I think it's a historical challenge, is those folks who are not interested in those services. And sometimes it'll take an extended period of time for one individual to be convinced to receive services. They cannot be imposed upon them unless there's some type of mental health issue that we could articulate that the person needs to be under some type of imposed care, and then that would be a physician would make that final determination. So I guess to answer your question is legally we're not allowed to do some of those things, and either is Life Moves. The value of Life Moves as opposed to some other organizations is there are several altruistic organizations out there who truly are well-meaning and their heart is in the right place. The value that we found in Life Moves is we share an ultimate goal where we want to eliminate homelessness as a problem and find shelter and resources for these folks. And they share that that mission with us, where there are some other organizations out there that are similar that are more focused on providing services to the homeless folks in the field. Not to say that we don't do that, because we care about their well-being, but Life Moves has represented and they have walked the walk in addition to talking the talk to really have a goal of getting these people off the street, where some of the other organizations don't share. I mean, nobody wants people to be homeless, but Life Moves has been that one organization that's really been a true partner with law enforcement to kind of take some steps to get closer to that goal.
So for the record, I'm supporting what they're trying to do. I'm just...
Yeah, I guess to answer your question is we can't tell them that they can't be where they're at. We can't force them to move. We can't seize their property. We can tell them, but they don't have to abide by what we're telling them.
Right, that first step of telling them that you can't be here, I'm here to help you, but you can't sleep here, so come with me, or what's the option? At some point, and maybe this is for the city attorney, at some point, the encampment gets to a certain size, and then they have rights. They're given notice that they have to leave within 30 days and take their possessions, because it happens in the bigger cities, and it's happened here in San Bruno a few times, with encampments having to be...
Yeah, there's a process that we use on a regular basis. It's not 30 days. I believe it's 3 days, 72 hours. They have a
72 hours?
72-hour notice. And we've implemented that several times. The problem is we're kind of kicking the can down the road sometimes, because we'll find the same individuals either moving into our downtown area or finding someplace else to go within the city, because they receive that notice and they're forced to leave a particular area. Doesn't make all of them see the light and accept services.
I'm not arguing that at all. I understand that it's going to move them somewhere else, but moving them to receive the help is I guess what I'm trying to define what our official response is. And I'm hearing a little bit of it is that if it gets to a certain size, then we can give them 72 hours.
Well, size is not the relevant issue. It's when they kind of set up a semi-permanent place that they're living, we can take action on, depending on who the property belongs to, on moving them along. To be honest, in my short time in San Bruno, we've done that several times, and the homeless individuals are more familiar with the, we call it an eviction process, than we are in most cases. They know exactly what's going to happen, and they just simply move from one spot to the other. And when we do that, we send in life moves beforehand. For example, we had one not far from here, and we sent in life moves. We coordinated with Caltrans because it was Caltrans property. They served these folks and let them know that they had to leave. We had a crew ready to come in to clean up the area. And what we did was we preempted that, and we sent in life moves beforehand, a few days before, saying, hey, this is coming. And all of the individuals in the camp were familiar with the process because they'd been through it several times before. Here's what we can do. We can get you housing. We can get you in, we can offer you services. And unfortunately, more often than not, people aren't interested, and they simply just pack up and move on. However, the value of having a Life Moves homeless outreach worker is our outreach worker pretty much knows our regulars by name and is constantly interacting with them and dealing with them. And there have been some cases where we've been successful, or I should say the homeless outreach worker has been successful and finally convinced somebody to receive services. But you'd be surprised how long that can take sometimes, and how reluctant people living on the street are to accepting those services in many cases. And I understand what you're saying. I understand your frustration. We share that frustration, but the law doesn't allow us to do some of the things that you're
And I'm not asking us to go in there and pick people up. I'm just, you explained well that with Caltrans, they went ahead and gave them notice, and we do that, and I didn't hear that in the earlier part of the discussion.
Yeah, we're working on another one down by the train tracks. It's actually BART property, so it depends on who the property owner is. If it was all San Bruno, it'd be a little bit easier because we'd have control over everything. But oftentimes we're working with multiple entities, and some of their bureaucracies we have to work through are a little bit more difficult than others. But Life Moves is always part of that, and they're kind of we're the enforcement arm. We're trying to move people out of where we don't belong there, and they're the carrot, so to speak. Where hey, we have. We're trying to provide some incentive for you to accept these services, and it's to be honest, Life Moves has a more difficult job than we do because we have a black and white way of approaching encampments or homeless and legally what they can and can't do. With Life Moves, it's a little bit more subjective because they have to convince folks to accept these services, and it's for them it's much more difficult than it is for us because we have statutes that we follow rather than the persistence that they display in trying to help these people, get out of the environment that they're in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Rico?
Any other questions? If not, I'd like to go ahead and introduce the resolution for adoption.
Councilmember Rico Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. We already had number 11, 12 comments from council members. Anything?
I got some.
Marty?
I think it's a really important day this Sunday for those that are lucky enough to have a kid. I just wanted to wish all the dads out there and I really see Father's Day as almost every day, really. But to be able to get a steak dinner and some other cool stuff would be looking forward to that. So happy Father's Day, everybody.
What time, Marty?
I think it's at Ken's house, right, Ken?
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? All right, we already had our closed session, so we are adjourned until right here, the 27th of June.